inside my car. On the expressway to your heart. Beep, beep, beep.
All right, Doc 103.9 Auto Show is back on the air. Chip Lyness and Louie Herron from Louie Herron Toyota. We're talking about the car buying process and the fears of car buying.
Absolutely.
Are people afraid to walk in the dealership, Louie?
You know, I tell you, if you, Chip, think about this for a second. Let me just ask you a pointed question. If you're going to buy, of course, you know me and you know other dealers that advertise with you, so maybe your perspective is a tad different. But are you nervous to buy a car? Are you uncomfortable to buy a car? Are there some things that make you skeptical? If you didn't know me, if you didn't know some other dealers, what would be your fears?
I'll go by what some of my friends have said. They're always, I've got a friend that's bought 3 or 4 different cars, and he goes, look, every time I walk out of the dealership, I always feel ripped off. No matter how much studying I do, no matter what I do, I always feel like the car dealer's got the better end of the deal.
Isn't that amazing?
And I'm there, well, why do it?
Well,
why sign?
Let's talk about the first fear, okay? And again, these are not necessarily any order, but I think one of the major fears people have is they don't want to pay too much.
Yeah.
I fear like I'm going to be paying too much. Yeah. Okay, so we know that's a fear. How do we eliminate knowing that you don't pay too much? I think first thing is knowledge is power, but you got to apply the knowledge. The first thing you got to remember is in a car transaction, the dealership or the independent lot or the seller is always selling for a retail price. Their job is to say, look, this is the product, this is the value, these are the extras, this is the price. And as a business owner, you can respect, it's like if you're selling spots, you know that if you have 3 spots left you can sell, Chip, and you know that you've sold some spots for $30 a spot or $40 a spot, but you've got 3 spots left and you got the rest of the month to sell it, those spots may be $45 or $50 a spot.
Right.
It's just supply and demand.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't make you a bad person, right? Unless you are one price radio station where you say, look, I don't care what time of the month, I don't care what day part, I don't care if it's Rush, I don't care if it's Hannity, it's $30 across the board. Well, that may be your business model, and there's nothing wrong with that. Same thing with a car dealer. The reality is, aside from CarMax, and Saturn tried it but failed, there is no one price situation. So the thing you have to realize going in, number one, paying too much. Let's talk about your trade. Understand that when you trade your automobile, you can look at AutoTraderCars.com, what they're selling for, independent selling, and what you could sell it for yourself. And I will tell you bold-faced right now, if you sell your car yourself, you will make more money. That would be better for you. However, you're the one that's going to have to go through the tag and title. You're the one that's going to have to make sure the TAVT new tax laws are complied with. You're the one that's going to have to take a test drive with possibly strangers. You're the one that's going to have to go ahead and negotiate and go through that process. You're the one that's going to have to make sure that you transfer title properly. You're going to have to do that. But you know what? I'm a mooch. Maybe those that are listening are the same way. To get an extra $1,500 or $1,000, maybe it's worth it to them. I don't know. If you trade a car, you will get wholesale. Now, here's what confuses people. The over allowance. Okay, your car's worth $10,000, but they showed you $14,000 on paper. Well, all we did is through the negotiation process is you have a $10,000 car. When we take it in inventory, it doesn't matter if we showed you 15, it's going into inventory for $10,000 because that's what it's worth. We're going to try to sell it for $13,000 if we can, but we'll have somebody come in and negotiate us down to 10. Okay, that's just how it works. And so the extra $3,000 they gave you on your trade, Chip, basically came from the price of the car, the markup in the car. So it's a give and a take. Here's what happens. If a dealer tries to sell you a car for sticker and they want to give you wholesale for your car, that's not a win-win. Let me say that again. If a dealer sells you a car for sticker and they give you wholesale, rock bottom wholesale for your car, that's not a win-win.
It's a win-win for the dealer.
It's a win-win for the dealer. But hear me closely. Realistically, you can't go in and say, look, I know my car sells for $14,000. I know it wholesales for $10,000. I want $14,000. And oh, by the way, I want to buy your car for $1,000 below invoice.
Right. It's not going to work that way.
Well, Butler Toyota, Butler Honda, Conyers Toyota, Haywood Allen, Jimmy Britt, they're going to sell me this car for. Yes, they probably will. But once you throw the trade in the equation, the game changes a little bit.
Right.
When you get prices, you're going to always get the lowest price over the phone or over the web. Initially, you're going to get the bot. So there's no room to over allow on the trade-in. But don't lose heart. If you're going to buy a car at invoice, you're not getting a bad deal if you're getting wholesale for yours because you're trading wholesale to wholesale.
Gotcha.
Oh, does that make sense?
Yep.
I hope everyone listening understands where we're coming from because, listen, the dealer is not a nonprofit organization. If they're not going to make money on the car that they sell you, fine. There's many deals where we don't. We break even, make a few hundred, lose a few hundred. Believe it or not, that's the truth. But if we trade for your car, we're not going to load up in the car and put ourselves in a situation where we're going to lose money on them when we sell it.
Right.
That's our only chance is to clean it, service it, and maybe take a chance on selling it. But we only have 60 days.
Right.
If we don't sell it in 60 days, we've got negative equity on that car, and we got to take it to the auction, and we still lose money. Right. So, again, talking about paying too much for a car, you got to understand wholesale to wholesale, retail to retail. You got to understand the dynamics of what your trade is worth and what the car is worth. And again, when we come back, we'll talk about what if there's no trade and how do we handle that situation to make it a win-win as well.
All right, very good. It is the Auto Show. Chip Lyness, Louie Herron from Louie Herron Toyota. Want you to keep it right here. We've got more of your favorites, plus the latest weather on the way. This is Doc 103.9.